Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam.
Hello friends, this is Professor Neelam Panchal from Gujarat University and I welcome you all in this session on challenges in formal organization. Let me introduce you to the topic. Friends, formal organization are the structured entities designed to achieve specific goals through a systematic and a hierarchical approach to the management. Now, these organizations are characterized by a clear set of rules, policies and procedures that guide the operations, and they typically have well-defined roles and responsibilities for their members. While the formal organizations are essential for the efficient functioning of the businesses, governments and the other large institutions, they face numerous challenges that can impact their overall effectiveness. This session will explore the key challenges that formal organizations encounter, including issues related to the structure, communication, leadership, decision making, motivation and adaptation to change. Let me explain you the objectives of the session. The objectives of the sessions are to analyze the impact of bureaucratic structures on organizational flexibility and innovation, to identify and address the communication barriers that hinder the effective collaboration and decision making, to evaluate leadership challenges and their influence on the employee motivation and engagement, to explore the impact of the slow decision making processes on organizational efficiency and responsiveness, and to examine the role of organizational culture in managing the change and adapting to the technological advancements. Let us try to understand the structures in detail, and first of all, bureaucracy and rigid structure in formal organizations. So, bureaucracy and rigid structure are the foundational elements in many formal organizations, particularly in the large institutions such as government organizations, corporations, non-profit entities and so on. Now, while these elements provide the order, consistency and a clarity in the roles, they can also pose significant challenges to the flexibility, innovation and employment engagement. Let us define the bureaucracy first of all. Bureaucracy refers to the hierarchical organization structure where authority, roles and responsibilities are clearly defined and governed by established rules and procedures. So, this structure ensures that the tasks are standardized and that the decisions follow a formal process. In a bureaucratic system, employees work within the predetermined guidelines and a communication typically follows a top-down approach with decision making centralized at higher levels. What are the advantages of bureaucratic structure? Let us try to look into. So, the bureaucratic model provides a clear accountability as the roles and responsibilities are well defined. This can lead to efficient operations as well as the tasks are delegated in an orderly methodological manner. It also ensures consistency in decision making and adherence to the rules, reducing to the task and reduces the chance of the errors or favoritism. So, if you look into the industries that require strict regulatory compliances such as healthcare or finance, a bureaucratic approach can be essential for maintaining standards. Let us look into what are the challenges of the bureaucratic and rigid structures. However, the rigid nature of the bureaucracies can lead to different challenges. So, the first is limited flexibility. Employees may feel constrained by the strict rules and rigid workflows, which can limit their ability to innovate or adapt the changes. Next is slow decision making. So, in highly hierarchical organizations, decisions need to pass through multiple levels of authority, which can result in the delays and inefficiencies. Next is employee disengagement. So, lack of autonomy and involvement in decision making can lead to decreased motivation, as employees may feel like cogs in a machine rather than active contributors. So, we can say that in the bureaucratic structure, these things are very highly recognized. So, while bureaucracy provides a structure, organizations must balance it with a flexibility and a open communication to foster the innovation, improve the engagement and remain competitive in a rapidly evolving landscape. Now, let us look into communication barriers in the formal organizations. So, effective communication is very essential for the smooth functioning of any formal organization. However, there are barriers that can hinder the communication, leading to the inefficiencies, misunderstandings and decreased morale of the employees. So, these barriers are often rooted in the organization structure, culture and communication practices. First is a top-down communication. In hierarchical formal organizations, communications tend to flow from higher management to the lower level employees in a top-down manner. Now, this structure can lead to several issues. It includes limited feedback, that is, the lower level employees may find it difficult to share the feedback or ask questions, resulting in a lack of engagement and ownership. Next is disempowerment. So, when the employees are not included in the decision making or informed about the changes, it can lead to disengagement and decreased motivation. Next is information bottlenecks. So, information can become delayed or filtered as it passes through multiple levels of the hierarchy, slowing down decision making and implementation. The second barrier is the information silos. So, in the formal organizations, departments can often operate in isolation, known as information silos. So, employees in the different departments may not share information or collaborate effectively. This can cause inefficiencies. So, without sharing the ideas or the data or the resources or the insights, teams may duplicate the efforts or work at a cross purposes. Next is a missed opportunities. So, lack of interdepartmental communication, if it is not there, it can really result in a missed opportunities for the innovation or problem solving. The third important barrier is a misinterpretation of the messages. Now, miscommunication and a misinterpretation, it can arise due to jargon and a technical knowledge. What happens is different departments or the teams, they may use the specialized language that is not easily understood by the others and it leads to the confusion. Secondly, cultural and linguistic differences. So, in a global or diverse organizations, what happens is cultural and a language differences, it can lead to the misunderstanding and incorrect interpretation of the messages. Another barrier is a lack of transparency. So, when the information is not shared openly, employees may feel excluded or mistrustful of the leadership, reducing the morale and the transparency within the organization. Addressing these communication barriers requires fostering an open, collaborative environment, encouraging the two-way communication and investing in the tools that are improving the transparency and knowledge sharing across the departments. Now, let us try to look into the leadership challenges in the formal organizations. Friends, leadership in the formal organization is very crucial for guiding the company towards its goals, motivating the employees and ensuring operational efficiency. However, there are several challenges that arise when leading within a structured hierarchical environment where processes and authority are tightly defined. So, the first include the rigid leadership styles. Now, in the formal organization, leadership is often bound by the traditional hierarchies and defined roles, which can restrict a leader's flexibility in adapting to different situations. Rigid leadership styles such as authoritarian or directive approaches can limit the employee engagement and creativity. Leaders may struggle to balance the need for control with empowering the teams to take the initiative. Second is a top-down leadership approach. So, many formal organizations operate with a top-down leadership structure where the decisions flow from higher management down to the lower levels. Now, while this ensures order, it can also lead to several issues such as employee disengagement. So, what is employee disengagement? Employees may feel disconnected from the decision making process and it can lack a sense of ownership over their work, reducing motivation and productivity. Another thing is a slow adaptation. So, a top-down structure, it can slow down the response times as decisions must pass through multiple levels of approval before being implemented. Next is a leadership succession. Planning for leadership succession in the formal organization is often difficult. So, the rigid structure, it can create the barriers for emerging talent to step into leadership roles and this can lead to leadership gaps. So, a lack of succession planning, it can leave the organization to vulnerable when the senior leaders retire or leave. Also, limited leadership development. Now, without opportunities for the employees to develop the leadership skills, the organization may struggle to build a strong leadership pipeline. Now, the next barrier is a balancing authority and empowerment. So, friends, leaders in the formal organizations must navigate the challenge of maintaining authority while also empowering their teams. So, a leader who is overly controlling can stifle innovation, while one who is too lenient may lose the control over the operations. Addressing these leadership challenges requires promoting flexible, inclusive leadership styles, fostering employee engagement and empowerment, and ensuring strong leadership development programs to build the future leaders. Now, let us try to look into decision making and innovation in the formal organizations. Friends, in the formal organizations, decision making and innovation are often tightly interwoven with organizational structure, processes and culture. However, the challenges arise in ensuring both efficiency in the decision making and fostering an environment conducive to innovation. It involves number one, slow decision making process. So, formal organizations, especially those with a hierarchical structure, often face the challenges with slow decision making. Now, these occurs because decisions typically require approval from multiple levels of the management. Each layer introduces delays as the information must pass through various checks and balances, and it reduces the delays and the organization's ability to respond quickly to changes in the market or competitive pressures. Next is bureaucratic bottlenecks. Now, here in the highly organization structures, every decision must be prescribedly follow processes. So, these bureaucracy can make it difficult to implement the changes swiftly, causing the frustration and missed opportunities. Next is a centralized decision making. So, in the organization where decision making power is concentrated at the top, leaders are burdened with all the major decisions, which may overwhelm them and delay the overall processes. This centralization can reduce the flexibility of employee to act autonomously and respond quickly to challenges. Next is innovation stifling. So, the rigid structure of the formal organization can also stifle the innovation. Standardized processes and a strict adherence to the rules often discourage the employees from thinking outside the box or experimenting with new ideas. Next is risk aversion. So, formal organizations, especially bureaucracies, tend to be risk averse. Employees may be discouraged from proposing innovative ideas to the fear of failure or the consequences of deviating from the established procedures. Next is lack of empowerment. So, in the hierarchical settings, lower level employees often have a limited influence over the decision making and innovation. As a result, they may feel less motivated to bring forward creative solutions or challenge the status quo. Another limitation is a balancing efficiency and innovation. Now, the challenge lies in balancing the need for the efficient decision making with a culture that encourages the innovation. So, organization can benefit from decentralizing decision making to allow for the more autonomy and empower employees at all the levels to contribute to the innovative ideas while maintaining the streamlined processes to ensure the operational efficiency. By fostering a culture of collaboration, promoting the cross-functional teams and decentralizing decision making, organizations can overcome these barriers and fosters both efficient decision making and innovation. Now, let us try to look into the next point, that is employee motivation and engagement in the formal organizations. Now, employee motivation and engagement are very critical for the success of any organization, especially in the formal structured environment, while the formal organizations often have clear roles, responsibilities and processes that can often face the challenges in keeping the employees motivated and engaged. So, motivation refers to the external and internal drive to perform the task, while engagement is about emotional investment in the organizational goals. Now, it includes different aspects. So, the first is lack of autonomy and creativity. One of the major challenges in the formal organization is the lack of autonomy employees often experience. In bureaucratic structures, the roles are highly specialized and employees may feel restricted by their narrowly defined responsibilities, and this can lead to disengagement because employees may feel their work lacks meaning or opportunities for the personal growth. Next is limited decision making power. So, when the decisions are centralized and employees have little say, it can create a sense of disempowerment. Employees may feel like their contributions are undervalued, leading to reduced motivation. Next is monotony in work. So, repetitive and highly structured tasks, it can result in a boredom, which can lower the motivation and engagement. Employees who feel stuck in the cycle of the routine work may struggle to see how their roles contribute to broader organizational goals. Next is inefficient and the insufficient recognition and rewards. So, in formal organizations where hierarchy and processes are often rigid, there may be insufficient recognition for the individual or the team achievement. So the lack of acknowledgement for the hard work and the accomplishment, it can lead to the disengagement. Another point is a limited feedback. So employees may receive little feedback about their performance, making it hard for them to understand the impact or where they can improve. So without positive reinforcement, employees may feel unappreciated and demotivated. Next is a poor communication and a leadership. Poor communication from the leadership, it can further reduce the employee engagement. When the leaders fail to clearly communicate organizational goals, values or a vision, employees can feel disconnected and less committed. Now, what are the solutions for enhancing motivation and engagement? Let us try to look into that. So, to address these all issues, organizations should focus on empowering employees, offering opportunities for their growth, providing them regular feedback, recognizing the achievements and ensure the open communication. Because the engaged employees, they are more motivated, more productive, innovative and they are committed to the organization's success. Now, let us try to understand the organizational culture and a change management in the formal organizations. Now, this is very important because nothing is constant except the change. Organization culture here refers to the shared values, beliefs and the norms that shape the behavior within the organization. So, in formal organizations where hierarchy, processes and procedures, they are often deeply ingrained, the relationship between the organization culture and a change management is a crucial. So, managing change in such environment can be challenging due to the rigid structure and traditional mindset that may resist the transformation. Now, the first is resistance to change. So, one of the primary challenge in managing the change within the formal organization is resistance to change. Employees who have worked within a specific culture for a long time may be reluctant to alter their established ways of working. Now, these resistance can arise from fear of the unknown. Employees may fear that the change will lead to the job insecurity, reduced power or an increase in workload. So, these fears can manifest an active resistance or a passive disengagement. Next is a cultural inertia. So, in the organization with a strong and a well-established culture, the status quo is deeply embedded. Employees and the leaders may continue to operate based on the historical practices, make it difficult to introduce the new behavior or values. Next is lack of leadership support. So, changes efforts often falter when the leadership does not fully support or model the desired change. In the formal organization where authority is concentrated at the top, leaders need to be visible champions of change. So, if the leadership is inconsistent or ambivalent about the change, employees may lack the confidence or a motivation to embrace it. Next is aligning culture with the change. Successful change management requires aligning the organization culture with a new direction. So, to do this, leaders must communicate the vision, that is, clearly articulate why the change is necessary and how it aligns with the organization values and goals. Secondly, involve the employees. Very important to engage employees in the change process to reduce the resistance and build the ownership, because if there is a ownership, the functionality will work on autopilot. Next is encourage the adaptability. So, fostering a culture that values the flexibility, learning and innovation to make the future changes easier is important. And then let us look into the solutions. So, to manage the change effectively, leaders must actively shape and evolve the organization's culture, foster the open communication, and demonstrate the commitment to change. A culture that supports the change can make the transition smoother, leading to better long-term outcomes. Now, let us try to look into technological integration and adaptation in the formal organizations. So, in the formal organization, the integration and adaptation of the new technologies are vital for maintaining the competitiveness and operational efficiency. However, the transition to the advanced technological system are having several challenges. So, the first include resistance to change. Employees may resist the new technologies due to the fear of the unknown or the concerns over the job security. So, older systems or the manual processes, it may be deeply ingrained and it leads to the reluctance in the adoption of the new tools that would disrupt the established workflows. Now, these resistance, it can slow down the integration processes and hinder the productivity gains. Next is training and skill gaps. So, technological adaptation often requires training and skill development. Employees may lack the necessary expertise to operate the new systems, leading to the inefficiencies and errors. Organizations must invest in ongoing training programs to ensure a smooth transition. Next is compatibility with the existing systems. So, integrating new technologies with the legacy systems, it can be complex and costly. Now, there may be technical incompatibilities, data migration issues or additional infrastructure needs which can lead to the delays and unexpected expenses. Next is a change management. So, successful technological integration requires the effective change management. Organizations must ensure the clear communication about the benefits of the new technology, involve employees in the process, and provide the support throughout the transition to facilitate a smoother adaptation. By addressing these challenges, a formal organization can enhance the technological capabilities and it can maintain the long-term success in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. Now, the next part is a legal and ethical compliance in the formal organizations. Friends, this is very important because the legal and ethical compliance are critical for the long-term success and sustainability of the formal organization. Adhering to the laws, regulations and ethical standards ensures that the organization operate within the bounds of the law and maintain a positive reputation. It involves number one, navigating complex regulations. So, organizations must comply with a wide array of the laws from labor and employment regulations to environmental and financial standards. So, in the formal organization where the processes and the structures are rigid, staying up to date with the changing laws, it can be challenging. Failure to comply with the legal requirements, it can result in the legal penalties, financial losses or damage to the reputation of the organization. Next includes ethical challenges. So, beyond the legal compliance, organizations must maintain the ethical standards. Issues such as fair treatment of the employees, transparency in business practices and a responsible marketing, they are vital to an organization's ethical standing. An ethical organization promotes trust and long-term relationship with the employees, customers and the public. Third is a risk management. So, to mitigate the legal and ethical risk, formal organization must establish robust compliance programs, conduct regular audits and provide training to the employees, establishing clear-cut policies, transparent reporting structure and fostering a culture of integrity, it can help to avoid the legal pitfalls and encourage the ethical behavior. And by proactively addressing the legal and ethical challenges, organizations can reduce the risk, enhance the employee morale, and build the stronger relationships with the stakeholders. Now, after understanding all the interconnectiveness of the formal organization and the challenges, let us try to summarize the session. Friends, in formal organizations, we have seen that navigating the challenges of the structure, communication, leadership, decision making, and a change is a crucial to the long-term success. The rigid frameworks that define these organizations, while providing the order and a clarity, it can also create the barriers to flexibility, innovation, and employee engagement. So, effective leadership, open communication, and an adaptable culture, they are the key to overcome the obstacles and fostering an environment that is both efficient and responsive to the change. We have seen that the organizations must be proactive in addressing the communication barriers, ensuring the transparent and inclusive exchange of the information. Leadership styles must evolve to empower the employees, balancing the authority with the autonomy to drive the engagement in the motivation. At the same time, organizations must embrace technological integration and a change management strategies, ensuring that the new tools are adopted seamlessly without disturbing existing operations. Furthermore, we have also seen that organizations must navigate the complexities of the legal and ethical compliances to maintain the integrity and safeguard their reputation. Adhering to both the legal requirement and ethical standards is essential for building the trust with the employees, customers, and the stakeholders. Ultimately, a formal organization that embraces flexibility, values the innovation, and fosters a culture of transparency and continuous improvement is better positioned to thrive in an increasingly dynamic and competitive landscape. Through thoughtful leadership and strategic planning, organizations can transform their challenges into the opportunities for the growth and the success. I hope you are clear with all the fundamentals of the formal organization, its challenges, and some other aspects that we have discussed in this session. I hope you liked the session.